So that your lease is over and you're moving out. Did you know that you're required to provide your landlord with a forwarding address in order to get your deposit back? So that's our topic for today. Let's go into that a little bit, Scott.
Yeah, I mean, the landlord basically has up to 30 days, right, to return a deposit or a
disposition letter of what they did with your deposit, right?
Yeah, so
they'll have a receipt.
They'll have a breakdown of how that deposit, and that or the deposit is required within the 30 days. So if they don't have any place to send it, then they can't return it, obviously, and that's where the forwarding address comes in. But they have some time before they have to return that deposit.
Yeah, because there might be things that have to be done after you leave that they have to have time to do, but they also don't have eternity to do it in, right?
Yeah.
Because I think if we step back one second and say, well, what is a deposit? Well, it's money that you gave to ensure that your performance will be there.
Yeah, it's not their money.
It's your money, right? They're stewards of it, so they have to give an accounting of that. And the states and the municipalities have said, you have 30 days to do this in. But if a landlord doesn't receive a forwarding address, there's a little caveat that they don't have to then give you the disposition within that 30 days. It kind of protects them on the other side. And so the key here is, how do you protect yourself? Is make sure you've dotted your I and crossed your T, and make sure that you've given them the forwarding address in order to meet that expectation.
Right. So a tenant would do that by email, or they might have a form. I think there's a form that they can provide that kind of indicates exactly where that forwarding address is. It doesn't have to be your new residence. It has to be any kind of address that you stipulate, P.O. box, or whatever. But you can give them an email, and that should work as long as you confirm that they've received that or acknowledged receipt, so that you know that they have that.
Yep, so they know that you've given them that. Have some type of document that shows that you gave them a forwarding address. Yeah. Now, in today's day and age, can funds transfer electronically? They sure can, but the way the law currently states right now is you have to give them a forwarding address, right? So sometimes a landlord might use that forwarding address to also file small claims in the event that, let's say, you caused more damage to the house than your deposit covered. The landlord has the opportunity to ask you for the difference, right? And sometimes people say, well, I don't want to give my forwarding address because I know I was a naughty little tenant and I don't want that, right? Yeah. So yes, you can play the game, but it doesn't alleviate you from the responsibility. All it does is it makes it harder to get there. So our counsel is still give them a forwarding address, because playing the game, they'll find you, because most of us are digital. We don't hide very well in a digital world, right? People always know where we're at. But the reality is it doesn't have to be your exact forwarding address. It could be that of a parent. It could be a P.O. box. It could be a service provider that is an intermediary for that. It just says you have to have a forwarding address.
Yeah, so that leads into a question we'd actually like to propose to our members of Tenant Solutions here. If we provided that service, would it be effective? How many people think that if Tenant Solutions was out there and we allowed our address to be your forwarding address, that's something that our
it helps a little bit with your, because a lot of consumers out there like a little bit of privacy, right? So can it give that shield of privacy out there, or at least a buffer to it, so that you're not inundated with unnecessary communication, or sometimes you don't know where you're going to land exactly until maybe 30, 45 days later. There's going to be that kind of a service that gives you that freedom until you know where it's going to be at.
We want benefits to tenants.
Yeah. So give us your feedback on that. Take it some thought, and maybe even share some of your own experiences of providing or not providing a forwarding address and what happened to you.
Yeah.
I'd love to have that feedback.
Have you been worried about providing a forwarding address, and how did you handle it? So thanks for chiming in with us and staying with us.
All righty.